For the next 30 days, I'm gonna be training my forearms daily in that bucket, which is filled with white rice and a whole lot of trenbolone acetate. Now, my goal is to grow bigger forearms. However, it should be worth noting I'm cutting during this duration, so they might not actually get bigger, and they might even decrease in size a little bit. Hopefully not, but it's possible. However, if they get more defined, if they look juicier, that's a win. Like any good scientist, we need to measure our base, so we can then measure the difference, delta circumference, if you will. Now, I think we're starting off, let me see if I can situate this, right around 14. So that's our starting value. And I'll see you guys in 30 days. So today is day 1, and I'm not sure what exercise I'm gonna do. I think we kind of just play around, but oh, that feels weird, man. The further down you move, the harder it gets, just by like tenfold. That's actually a really nice feeling. I wasn't thinking about this, but I've been doing this for a couple of minutes, and I am now covered in this white rice powder, which is probably gonna dry my hands out. Oh, you thought you were getting a beat drop. Well, I will drop some bomb knowledge. Now, the rice only resists motion when you're shortening your muscles, not when you're lengthening them. That lengthening is called the eccentric, and the eccentric is by far the most productive portion of the lift for building muscle hypertrophy. Now, additionally, the rice doesn't provide that much force back, and you can make it have more force lower down the bucket you go, but even at the very bottom, it's not that much force, so I'm left doing about 40 to 60 reps. Now, the standard hypertrophic range, the range that's best for building muscle growth, is about 5 to 30 reps, and I'm well outside of that. So this isn't all to say that I'm not getting any muscle growth at all from the rice, but it's a pretty horrible exercise for it. So then why did I spend the last 30 days of my life doing these form exercises in something that I knew was pretty damn shit for building muscle? Well, I'll tell you why. So every single one of those 60 contractions I was just telling you about is going to physically pump blood through my veins and into my muscles. Additionally, when to deplete our oxygen stores a little bit, so we'll get some metabolic signaling saying, hey, we need oxygen here, let's send blood. That blood is going to arrive with oxygen bound to hemoglobin, which will go straight into our mitochondria, increasing ATP. ATP is like the energy currency of your whole body. Additionally, we're going to have glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids in that blood, which is going to help recover our muscles. And finally, we'll get rid of metabolites like hydrogen ions, lactate, and CO2, which is built up in our muscles. All this to say that getting blood into your muscles is extremely, extremely important for recovery. And the rice is very, very, very good at getting this blood flow. On top of that, this blood can lead to increased capillary density, which basically we have all these tiny little blood vessels, and you can increase the amount of them per muscle fiber. And over time, this is going to mean that your muscles are a lot better adapted for mitochondrial efficiency. Now, I wouldn't really see this adaptation in a 30-day span, but by continuously getting blood flow to an area, you might see improved vascularity, you might also see improved muscle endurance, and maybe even a little bit of that so desired muscle maturity that you see in those older bodybuilders and those really striated forearms. Again, I wouldn't see that in 30 days, but that is something you can think about as benefits of this exercise for the next years of your life that you will be doing it. Now, the last benefit that I really want to talk about for this increased blood flow is the fact that your muscle fibers fill with blood and become physically stretched themselves. This also stretches fascia, which is this like really tightly wound web of connective tissue around all of your muscles, mostly made of collagen. And it's so tight that it can actually prevent muscle growth over time. So you have to stretch regularly, which most of you already know. But when you have more blood to your muscles, those stretches become so much gnarlier and so much deeper, and you're actually getting more mechanical tension in your muscle because you're getting both the stretch of whatever you're doing to your muscle as well as the internal stretch of that blood. So you're doubling up the effects and can create very, very, very good responses, adaptations over time. Now, I did all that explaining so I could rationalize the way that I actually use the rice bucket. Now, I don't use it as a driver of hypertrophy. I use it as recovery. So every day I still do my grippers, I still do my arm wrestling training, my pronation, but then I come back home and I get as much blood as I possibly can to forearms, and then I give them the gnarliest stretch that I possibly can. And I think from my understanding of sports science that that is the most optimal way to use the rice bucket. I'm not saying that's how you have to implement it, but that's why I use it daily versus for every other exercise I do, I wouldn't do it daily. And of course, this was an experiment. I was trying to step out of my comfort zone and switch things up, but that is the science behind it. And that's why I would still say, do your heavy lifting and treat this as recovery, not as a workout. I'm recording this before the whole 30 days are up, so I don't even know what the results are yet. And I also don't know why I decided to record this now because I'm sick and my voice is like breaking, so I've had to use like half the clips and I sound a little bit funny. But without further ado, let's get on to me in a week and I'll show you the final results. It has been a full 31 days since I bought this here rice bucket and a whole 24 hours since I've last used it. So we have no pump, just like we did in the starting value. So it's time to see what 4 weeks of using this daily has done to my forearms for the grand reveal. Dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. That's not half bad. That is not half bad at all. Look at that. And we have a second one, don't you worry. Here we are. And I will be totally honest, I'm wearing a flannel, which I'm just now realizing is cutting off circulation, making my veins pop out a little bit more. But I'm not complaining, and you'll just have to deal with it. But it won't change the girth, which we can measure now. I also want to mention, I talked about it briefly at the start of this video, but I'm cutting. And I've actually lost, I think about 15 pounds since this cut has started, which is a lot of weight. And my arms have actually shrunk. They shrunk about 1/4 inch. Some of that might be water weight, glycogen. I'm not saying I necessarily lost lean, hard, contractile tissue, but the caveat, of course, is that my forearms most recently have shrunk as well. So if they haven't, that's a big surprise. But I have this tape right here, so let's see if I can figure it out, how to use it. Oh man, my forearms do look good. I have a little bit downlighting here. I have my lamp set up. Let's see if I can situate this. Didn't I say that in the start of this video? I think I did. Okay, I got it. And the final result, see that? That's 13, so 14, and maybe just the tiniest little 16th. However, if I remember the start, we were at 14 flat. So I've actually grown by maybe a tiny hair, maybe the tape's positioned a little differently, and I haven't grown at all. However, like I said, my arms have shrunk during this time. So my forearms staying the same size is relative growth. They're also leaner, so they're holding on to less fat. And if I have less fat on my arms and they're the same size, there has to be more muscle. So I'm very blown away with that. Let's see if we can get a little flexing going on. You can see I have way more developed, I feel like, anterior, the extensor muscles on my forearms. They're popping out the wazoo. Again, I have a vein here, which I'm pretty stoked about, but the flannel is cutting off a little bit of circulation. But all in all, I feel like I've had a very productive 30 days. I've done it every single day. Sometimes I get home late. It's only been for about 3 minutes or so, but again, you still get blood flow in there. I still stretch it out. And with that, I think this experiment was a success. Everybody, if you want to buy it, I used 20 pounds of rice in a 5-gallon bucket. I think more than that, the rice would really start coming out the sides. I definitely had a little bit of an issue with that, but nothing too bad. And I'm more than excited. I could not be happy with this. I think these are great results, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing and liking the video if you like the video and feel like subscribing. But if not, then just have a great day. That's all that matters. But I'll see you guys next time. Take care.